Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes. Good afternoon. Yeah. Welcome to this another session, virtual session of counseling. And any kind of you have any queries or questions, you can ask me. But I think I've already instructed you to yes go through the textbook. Yeah, Nikhil, you were there in the last session, if I remember.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So have you read the book?
No, now present I have no book, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, but I am audible, right? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So today we'll just discuss those two blocks, which I think only the three blocks we could do. So one is the modern English drama and block three, and then the other one is American and African drama, then Indian drama in English and English translation. So I think I did touch upon the modern English drama in the previous session, right? Did I? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just quick this thing, okay? Recap of what it is. So it's all about modern drama, which was an era of British literature. When the England dominated by the elite class, they tried to establish its own identity from the mid 19th century. Another thing is the period displays the vaguely the captured graces of Elizabethan drama, but witnessed the rise of great actors. So post Elizabethan drama saw a long period of decline as the heroic tragedies and comedies of love and intrigue went into a spell of darkness. Then in the later 18th century, great acting flourished, where melodramatic, unrealistic, and sensational plays became popular. Now, eventually, art and artists felt the need for a change in the purpose of drama and looked beyond entertainment. So, articulation of a message and portrayal of the society became the premise of theater. Hence, the major thematic concerns of modern drama have been the struggle of individual against the society. So, now eventually, what happened is it is also okay. Another important thing is it's also called an age of rationalism, as people's faith was replaced by cause and effect. I mean, they've become more logical and reason and rational, and also reason because of the world wars. So both the wars had an effect on their way of thinking. So eventually, this paved way for theories like naturalism and realism, where naturalism means inner reality and realism means outer reality. Okay. So the major writers, if you look at during the modern drama period, is like uh, W. Robertson, a playwright and actor. Then he is a man who presented natural human speech in flesh and blood on stage while discarding the ambiguity of rhetoric. Then again, we have Arthur Wing, pioneer, and H.A. Jones. Then again, Henrik Ibsen, a Norwegian playwright, introduced to the English audience in 1890. So he infused the revolutionary blood in English plays. Although his characters are real and ordinary, they are evolving, establishing their stand. Then we also have then William Archer, now who propagated his plays while G.B. Shaw took the Ibsen spirit to the next level in English drama. Then we also have Shaw, championed actually in conferring the new freedom of technique and contemporary themes in English drama, advocating nationalism and realism in its truest sense, paving way to the drama of ideas. Then Arms and the Man's, Candida, Man Superman, Pygmalion, Saint John. There were a few of his best plays. Then later on, Galsworthy joined Shaw towards his contribution for realism. So described as naturalism in drama and endeavored to present both fair and foul, no more, no less. Then, in fact, the Victorian convention was also crushed with Shaw's intellectual, satirical, and flippant ways, while Galsworthy and Barker, another noteworthy playwright, expound the ideas of self realization with an undercurrent of emotions, giving scope for a moral home, either to understand or for the audience to explore. Now, with the introduction of the talented J.M. Synge to the world of drama, the Irish movement brought to the fore native comedy from the um, Irish folklore and peasantry. Now, Synge works include Shadow of the Glen, The Tinker's Wedding, The Playboy of the Western World. His Riders to the Sea is said to be one of the best tragedies. Now, the later phase of the modern drama comprises many more writers, of which T.S. Eliot and Christopher Fry are considered popular because of the revival of the Elizabethan and Jacobean tradition in their poetic drama. Now, T.S. Eliot's Murder in the Cathedral and Christopher Fry's The Lady Not for Burning deserve special mention. Now, John Flicker also can be counted for his Oriental play Hassan, for it is deeply delved into the spirit of dramatic poetry. Now, if you talk about the genre of the period, that is the modern drama, well, you can see the realism, expressionism, then, well, realism is again where, you know, the happens to be the establishing theme where actors portrayed real people and real life happenings. So if you look at Shaw's quintessence of Ibsenism leads to a discussion of Ibsen's recurring topic of the strong character holding out against social hypocrisy. And again, the gender discrimination is apparently seen in Pygmalion, where Shaw's portrayal of Eliza is as an object of study and experiment by Mr. Higgins for his professional gains to transform her into Duchess, presents social realism in its absolute sense. Coming to expressionism, well, it is supposed to be understood that this modernist movement of expressionism has focused on the theme of expression through symbolism. It actually originated in Germany and in art forms like poetry and painting with the intention of presenting the distorted image of world from the subjective perspective, giving great momentum to the emotional effect to evoke the moods of the audience. Now, it actually seeks to achieve psychological or spiritual effect rather than presenting a logical sequence of the external world. Now, here, if you look at the style of acting in expressionism, it is said to be loud, energetic, or rather overacting and using broad mechanical movements while the speech being rapid and breathless. Again, Metropolis, which is directed by Fritz Lang, can be taken as an example for expressionism. And the love affair between Freda from the industrialist class and Maria, an activist who propagates against the divide between the two classes, culminates into a revolution through a robot replicating Maria, whose subterfuge spells disaster and all involved. Now, next, moving on to the theater of the absurd. It refers to the movement that arose from man's quest for meaning and truth as a result of the social upheaval because of World War II. Now, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot is a popular example to discuss man's indefinite wait for the individual. The characters do not know who Godot is and whether he would come or not is a question. So the play displays man's uncertainty and helplessness, also a conflict between hope and hopelessness. So this is nothing but theater of the absurd. Now, epic theater. So this was again developed by Bertolt Brecht in Germany with the purpose of teaching the audience and something while they watched the play. So mostly epic theater displayed the prevailing social and political issues with a didactic purpose, while the actors indulge in talking to the audience directly or sometimes using um, placards or written signs to direct a change in actor, place, or mood. Then sometimes an actor could play multiple characters. This genre works in tandem with many different theatrical approaches. The intention of Brecht was to block the audience's emotional tendencies, but to appeal to their intellect so that they have a logical understanding of the social realities. So the actors were instructed to distance themselves from the characters they portrayed, to disregard inner emotions and life. So, emphasis was on stylized external actions to display the signs of social relationships. Now, looking at the literary forms and styles of writing. So, the literary styles and forms of modern drama is consequent to the cataclysmic effect the two major wars had far and large on the society. So, modern drama offered to the society such an expression where realism happens to be the most important literary theme used by the playwrights. So, the old canons were debunked and replaced with drama of ideas with new forms, styles, and contents. Portrayal of what exists outside as a reality and the observation and analysis of the inside of the human psychological tendencies became prevalent. So, modern drama is a fresh construction to portray the multi layered societal build with its nuances and the heterogeneity of human personality. Now, new ideas and concepts replaced the very ideological and classical Greek and Roman drama, and the theatre of the Middle Age and Renaissance, with its variety in stagecraft and technique, was replaced with real people and real instances. Now, the theatrical performances invited reactions from the audience, and hence realists like Henrik Ibsen, naturalists like Emile Zola, and romanticists like Victor Hugo created drama that mirrored the deliberate ideals and disturbances of the modern world. Hence, an anti illusionist portrayal of the society is a hallmark of modern drama. The plays like The Dollhouse, Pygmalion, Betrayal, War House, Waiting for the Godot possess elements of realism and naturalism in the real sense. Characters, setting, props, action, and language all are linked to the various social contexts. So the storyline in all the above plays questions the everyday realities that man confronts: values, hypocrisy, class distinction, materialism, social status, polity, etc. So Britain established its own style of influential literature through modern drama. So writers focused on confronting the audience with prevailing and controversial subject matter, adopting styles and forms to challenge and provoke understanding in the viewer. Now, advances in science and technology, expanding city life, nationalism, changes among social classes, and the move from an agrarian to an industrial economy influenced dramatic themes. So I think the concept of uh, modern drama, which in fact displays the myriad societal conditions prevalent during the times through the writing styles and forms used by different authors. Now, in fact, it aptly justifies Renaissance in drama, as it also addresses the technical variations adopted by the actors to make drama impactful and for the people to understand and react for a change. So, moving on to G.B. Shaw's Pygmalion, which is the prescribed poem, sorry, the prescribed works of the G.B. Shaw for this modern drama, the play. Well, when you talk about G.B. Shaw, born in 1956, Dublin, Ireland, he had written more than 60 plays during his lifetime, and he also won international acclaim for his contribution towards modern drama with his drama of ideas. His plays depicted realism, showcasing the social structure of Britain in its actual sense. Now, also, he won an Oscar for his play Pygmalion, that chronicles important themes such as Britain's societal social structure of Britain in its actual sense. So it was, in fact, the Pygmalion, with its important themes such as Britain's societal structure, female exploitation, and class domination. Um, and it has he won an Oscar for this play. So also winner of the Nobel Prize, Shaw struggled initially as a novelist, as most of his works were rejected by publishers. His career came as an offshoot of innovation in theatre with revival in drama because of his unconventional thinking and realistic ideas. Man and Superman, Saint John, Pygmalion, Arms and the Man, Candida are a few of his plays that won great recognition. Now, talking about the historical and cultural background of the play Pygmalion. So, the play Pygmalion, which was written in the 20th century during the times when Victorian society was characterized by very rigid social hierarchy. And here, the high class society was apparent, and hence a change was on the horizon. Moreover, women were subject to exploitation and deprived of basic rights and privileges. One of the themes used by the playwrights of modern drama. So the title Pygmalion is told to have taken by G.B. Shaw from Ovid's Metamorphoses, which is about a sculptor, Pygmalion, who makes a statue and names her Galatea. The Pygmalion makes a sacrifice to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and hence is blessed with the statue coming alive as a real woman. So he therefore implies Eliza as Galatea, and Higgins plays Pygmalion, who transforms Eliza into the ideal lady of the Victorian society who fits into the conventional thinking of the high class of English society. So the play is Shaw's most popular play and has spawned a number of adaptations, including the film version titled My Fair Lady. So there's been a film also about the Pygmalion by G.B. Shaw. So this is basically a five-act play. Wants to, kind of transform Eliza and wanted to pass her off as a duchess at the ambassador's garden party. And then, they want to kind of change this girl into a young baby and, would like to educate her. In fact, she's a flower, she sells flowers and they want to kind of, uh, kind of change this girl and make her appear like a literate. Okay, they would like to educate her. So then moving on to the next module that is no, the other play, which is the A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. So Henrik Ibsen, I already told you that he's a Norwegian writer and known for his two plays, A Doll's House and Hedda Gabler. He became a literary hero for his realistic themes, questioning the social constructs of his time. He had an affinity towards becoming an artist as his mother painted, played the piano, and took him along to watch plays during his childhood. So, in fact, he wrote his first play, Catalina, followed by other plays, and Brand, Pierre, Gent, The Pillars of Society, and many more. So, A Doll's House created history throughout Europe as it brought forth themes of women's struggle and identity through the character Nora. Now, with the Hedda and Gabler, Ibsen created one of the most notorious female characters, popularly known as the female Hamlet. Now, even today, his plays continue to challenge the audience because he tapped the human condition through the universal themes. Now, let us look into the historical and cultural background. So, he wrote the play in 1879, depicting the similarity between the world of the play and the world Ibsen lived in. So the play demonstrates the consistencies and tendencies of the social class in the late 19th century Norway. Now, Ibsen was born in an upper middle class family. He very vividly displays the importance of social class and expectations placed on its members. So there was an upsurge in Norway's economic status that began in 1843 and lasted till 1875. So So a woman's role basically was supposed to be centered around the house, performing her responsibilities towards its members, the husband, and children. Hence, the patriarchal structure is very evident in the play where Nora is a very dutiful wife and the world controls the house and manages the monetary affairs. So Ibsen puts forth the stand of Nora that remains incongruous and towards the periphery in the male centered world. Now, this is also basically a five-act play. So, this is basically a play where the important concerns of the 19th century is portrayed here of the English society. It also discusses elaborately the struggle between the conventional social construct and also the modern constructive approaches of the women concerns, placing Chauvel and Nora as representative characters of the time. Nora shutting the doors to move on has become symbolic of women's liberation. So next, moving on to the introduction to American drama. Well, let us look into the historical and cultural background of uh, the American, uh, the colonial period in American history, which is from 1607 to 1765. So the literary output during these years in America was negligible. So survival was the first and most vital issue for the settlers there. So they actually had to fight against the ravages of wilderness. They had to struggle to convert a rugged forest into a cultivable land, which forced them to stay away from literary attempts. So, moreover, as they shared the cultural tradition of England, they perhaps did not feel the urge to create a literature of their own. Now, they were unable to break away from their cultural roots. So, it was only after gaining political independence that America felt the need to culturally break away from England and create her own literature. Now, the heterogeneous settlers termed America a melting pot for a variety of flavors to mingle. However, over a period of time, it is now termed as salad bowl, wherein the ingredients retain their individual taste to create a multicultural whole. Now, the colonial period of American drama ended in 1767 with the performance of the first play written by Native American on the stage of the South Walk Theatre. So the permission was granted to Hallam's company to act in 1754 on the clear understanding that nothing indecent or immoral was to be performed. Now, American drama, which made its humble beginning in the 18th century when a theater was built in Virginia in 1760. Another theater was built in Carolina in 1736. So, yet it is not until 1752 that professional theater was established in America. Now, Lewis Hallam and his brother William arrived with a theater company that had an entire company of actors. They brought with them the popular plays running in England during this time. Now, the Shakespeare's plays such as Hamlet, Othello, Richard, the Richard III, and The Merchant of Venice were staged successfully. Unfortunately, the company had to shut down due to increasing opposition from the religious organizations. Then William Dunlop is considered as the father of American drama for his extensive work as a playwright, translator, and a theater historian. His plays Henry and the Father or American Shandism are considered to be among his best plays. In 1809, another theater was built in Philadelphia called as the Walnut. Its first theatrical play, The Rivals, was staged in 1812, which was viewed by then President Thomas Jefferson. Now, the American drama flourished during the post World War. The introduction of railways made it convenient for the production companies to travel from one town to another. This also helped to set up permanent theaters in some towns. Right. Next, moving on to the African American drama. So, to the slave narrative, African Americans entered the world of prose and dramatic literature. Brown published the first African American play, The Escape or A Leap for Freedom, based on scenes and themes familiar to readers of fugitive slave narratives. So, the period of Reconstruction in the United States brought about so as educational opportunities increased among African Americans after the war, a self-conscious black middle class was serious with serious literary ambitions emerged in the later 19th century. So during the first two decades of 20th century, widespread racial discrimination gave strong momentum to protest writing. The phenomenon known as the Harlem Renaissance represented a flourish in literature and art of the New Negro movement of the 1920s, which symbolized in The New Negro of 1925, an anthology edited by Alain Locke that featured the early work of some of the most gifted Harlem Renaissance writers. Although the most memorable literary achievement of the Harlem Renaissance was in narrative prose and poetry, the movement also inspired dramatists such as Willis Richardson, whose The Chip Woman's Fortune was the first non musical play by an African American to be produced on Broadway. And during the decade following World War II, professional African American dramatists such as William Blackwell Branch, author of In Splendid Era, Alice Childress of the Obie Award winning Trouble in Mind, and Laughing Michael, A Land Beyond the River, found greater access to the white American theater than any previous generation of black playwrights had known. So by 1968, Jones renamed himself Amiri Baraka and resettled in Harlem, where he became the fiery literary voice of a new black self-consciousness and social consciousness, disclaiming its freedom in original, sometimes shocking words. So in the same year, Baraka's play Dutchman, which climaxes in the death of an incipient black revolutionary poet at the hands of a white woman on a subway, won uh, the 1964 Obie Award for the Best Off-Broadway Production of the Year. Now, looking at the major writers of the period, we have Eugene O'Neill, Edward Albee, where Eugene O'Neill is generally considered as one of the first major playwrights of modern American drama, and his works were greatly influenced by Henrik Ibsen, August Strindberg, and Anton Chekhov. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1936 for his valuable contribution. His plays moved away from the conventional themes of melodrama. So then Hans Berry wrote another play, The Sign in Sydney's Ruston's Window, and several screenplays, including the film version of A Raisin in the Sun. Then Amiri Baraka, the development of an increasingly black identified poetry in the 1960s, written deliberately to inspire black pride and to inflame black revolution, is epitomized in the evolution of Leroy Jones into Amiri Baraka. So we have another popular playwright, this Tennessee Williams. He's best known for his plays The Glass Menagerie and A Streetcar Named Desire. Now, his plays are more poetic in nature and often they deal with the psychological problems of the feminine gender. Another playwright, Arthur Miller, who is known to model his plays on realism and naturalism. And his greatest work, Death of a Salesman, questions the concept of the American dream. Most of his plays dealt with how an individual is impacted by the social environment of that period. Edward Albee is another American playwright who perfected the style of the theater of the absurd. His plays, The Zoo Story, The American Dream, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, are few of his famous works. Most of his plays deal with some kind of violence, be it physical or verbal. The characters in his plays suffer from loneliness and failure. So the play Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which won him the Tony Award for Best Play in 1963, is often considered as a metaphor of the American society in the 1960s. Three of his other plays were awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. Some of the other popular playwrights included Elmer Rice, Maxwell Anderson, Sidney Howard, etc. When you talk about the genre of the period, a large extent, America was culturally dependent on England to satiate their intellect. Now, this included drama and music as well. English troops presented European plays throughout America. So the nation lacked first-hand American writers in all spheres of literature, including drama. So the genres which we find popular in American drama are all imitations of those adapted from Old England. For a long time, many of Shakespeare's plays were imported and staged. In the early 19th century, a form of theater called minstrel show was popular in America. Now, these plays had black actors or white people dressed in blackface who performed comic skits, dance, and musicals depicting people from African origin. So, the African American theater was opened by William Henry Brown in 1821, but did not last for long. Another form of theater was Victorian burlesque, which has imported in 1860s from Old England. Later on, this form evolved on as farce in American drama. So the plays practiced ridicule and mockery. The politics and culture of that day was ridiculed. In these plays, the women portrayed male characters and vice versa. Now, due to the explicit sexual content and raunchy jokes narrated by the characters, the theater profession was not considered as a respectful profession. In fact, even till the late 19th century, theater in America was considered as lawless and sinful. So, a group of individuals comprising of comedians, acrobats, jugglers, magicians perform between acts in a standard play. Now, the advent of cinema saw the decline of vaudeville. Now, musical revues dominated the Broadway in the period between the two world wars. So basically, revues usually were a combination of dance, music, dialogue, and drama. So several musicians and lyricists made use of this opportunity to make a career during this period. Let us quickly look into the literary forms and style of writing during this period. Now, the American drama was mostly melodramatic and sentimental in nature. The best example we can give in this adaptation is Uncle Tom's Cabin, a popular novel written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Now, after the age of neoclassicism and romanticism, the new age writers evolved a literature of realism. They attempted to portray American life as it is, persisting that the ordinary and the local were as appropriate for artistic and aesthetic purpose as the magnificent and the remote. Thus, we find imaginative forms of literature give way to realism and naturalism in American drama as well as other genres of literature. The writers were tired of producing works that involved adventure and excitement just to satisfy the reader's taste. Instead, they chose to describe the wide range of American experiences to portray the subtle characteristic features of the human personalities. As humans, none of us are either all good or all bad. So the writers moved from the areas of all black and all white to explore the gray areas in our personalities. So the origin for realism can be traced back to France, wherein the doctrine advocated that reality and truth should be depicted about ordinary life. Norwegian playwright Henry Ibsen is considered as the father of realism and is known to have influenced other writers such as Shaw, Miller, O'Neill, and so on. So, after Shakespeare, his plays were widely popular in stage for many years to come. So, naturalism in American literature, which started in the late 19th century and continued till the 20th century. Now, similar to realism, naturalism also denounced the romantic use of literature. It was a newer and harsher realism which did not allow presenting comforting moral truths. The naturalist writers practiced extreme objectivism and candor and believed in portraying characters of their lower social strata who were dominated by the environment around them. Emily's The Experimental Novel. So, in theater performances, the use of naturalist technique meant that characters should be in flesh and blood, the characters should be driven by their heredity, and the influence of the social environment they live in, and play should be an in depth analysis of human behavior and psychology. Also, the stage setting should be as realistic as possible without any theatrical effects or magnificence. So Ibsen's A Doll's House, and Strindberg's Miss Julie are the finest examples of naturalist drama. In American literature, this concept was popularized in his writings by Frank Norris. Authors such as Eugene O'Neill, Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams propagated the idea of realism and naturalism in their plays. So I think I'll be stopping here for the day. So maybe next class we can come back and take the revision and look at the Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller and Congi's Harvest by Wol Soyinka. And then maybe we can also look into the block 5, which talks about Indian drama in English and English translations, under which we can look into the intro part of the Indian drama in English, then Hayavardhana, a play by Girish Karnad, Then again, we can look into the intro of Indian drama in translations. And also One Day in Ashada by Mohan Rakesh. So with this, we conclude the session and hope to meet next session again. And may I request you to kindly go through the lessons and come back. Maybe we can discuss the questions here. Maybe you can just read the questions and also try to comprehend it and try to, think about the answers you can write for the questions. Maybe we can have some discussion on question answers also, right? I hope you followed my lecture, Nikki.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I see only you to be there in my class. So maybe here and there, maybe there would have been a little of, distraction and probably some kind of a disturbance. But otherwise, I think you could follow. Otherwise, also, you can please, anytime, if you have any doubts, maybe you can just gather all this after you read, you put up all your doubts. It can be simplest one also. So before I start my session, I will try to clarify your doubts. Also, how to write a question and I mean, how to write an answer to the question, how to understand a question. All these points I will discuss in the next session. Right, Mr. Nikhil?
Okay, ma'am. Next section, when, ma'am?
Next Sunday again. Same timing, 3 to 4. Okay?
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Yeah. And one more thing. May I know when is your, when are the exams starting from? Your
26,
semester
ma'am.
exams?
February 26th.
26th
February.
of February. Okay, then until
Yes.
then, we'll be having our classes, I think so. Okay,
Okay,
every
ma'am.
Sunday. Yeah, but
Okay.
make sure you read the questions first. I mean, directly reading into the material, then you can just read the questions. And any doubt about the questions also, you can raise it and ask me in the next class. Okay, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, see you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are ending the session now. Yes, ma'am.